Hate us because they ain't us.
Exactly. They hate us because they ain't us.
Hate us because they ain't us!
They hate us because they ain't us.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jordan.
I'm Tom Hoblin.
And Nick is going to be joining us very soon, but we're going to get right into it with our diecast of the week. Tom, what you got for us?
You know, it's Southern 500 week. I'm just thinking classic paint schemes. So I'm going to bring out the old Texas Terry Labonte Kellogg's number 5. Also kind of who I think might win this week, but we'll talk about that next episode. Not Terry Labonte, of course, but
yeah, but still a sweet diecast. Can't go wrong with the Kellogg's cars.
Of course.
All right, and yeah, you said it. It is Southern 500 week, and I don't know. I still think that this should be the throwback weekend. It doesn't feel right with it being Labor Day weekend, and we're not getting to see a bunch of throwbacks. There's going to be a couple guys, but this one is one of my favorite throwbacks. Kevin Harvick's 2020 Southern 500 win with the throwback to the Busch Mountains on the car. Freaking beautiful. And with there being 10 races left in Kevin's career, I'm going to do my 10 favorite diecasts of his for the next 10 weeks of the show. So that is number 1.
I like it.
Not my number 1 favorite, but...
Oh, that's number 10, you'd think, right?
Number 10, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we'll do my favorite diecast for when the season is over.
Awesome.
All right, so we got a bunch of stories from this week. First and foremost, Kurt Busch announcing his retirement. I mean, something that we kind of saw coming. Backed into the wall at Pocono and had a concussion ever since, and he just has not been 100% to come back. Really sucks to see such a great guy in the sport and was so much fun to watch, but his doctor said that he was not 100% to come back, and it's just going to be a lot of obstacles. And honestly, I think that's the best for him to just focus on his mental health and physical health, because you only got one brain, and he had a hell of a career anyway.
Of course. I have two major thoughts on this. The big one being, it sucks that he didn't get to go out on his own terms. You're able to say, as a huge Harvick fan, that you're counting down these last 10 races. You're really going to cherish those. The Kurt Busch fans and Kurt Busch himself never got that victory tour, that victory lap. So that sucks. Say what you want about the car. But again, it's a dangerous sport. It could happen to anybody in any of the generations of car we had. It just sucks that the way it went out. And then the other point is just, like you said, he had an incredible career. All the ups and downs, all the different teams he raced for, and all those teams say that he lifted up those teams. And those teams were in a better place because he joined them. I mean, he built the foundations at Furniture Row. He was winning, going crazy at Penske. He helped get a year established at 2311. So that's really cool. I know it's just an iconic name, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. Daytona 500 champion, 2004 Nextel Cup champion. The guy has over 30 wins, and the last couple of his wins, he beat out his younger brother. So pretty good career for the guy, and excited for what the future holds. I'm sure he's going to go into some kind of maybe ownership with 2311. He still has a tight bond with everyone over there, so I can definitely see him doing some driver development or whatever. But yeah, he still has a future in NASCAR.
He's doing the thing over at 2311 where he's making up his own titles and they're keeping him on contract. So that's also just a shout out to Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, for a really nice gesture to have Kurt be so involved. And you want somebody like Kurt in your organization. I think he just, the wealth of knowledge and experience he has, it can't hurt the organization. I keep having him around.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then in the Truck Series world, we know on Sunday that Ty Majeski got a penalty and had to do a pass through. And the big news came out today that that team received an L2 penalty, so he's going to be losing 75 championship points and 5 playoff points. But the thing about this is that he only loses those 75 points for this round because, as we know, when the next round happens, those points do not carry over, only the
Yeah.
playoff points. So
Well,
yeah,
he
those
gets-
5 playoff points, losing that sucks.
They basically get 1,000 points anyway
Yeah.
for going to the next round. Why not give him 925 points to go to the next round? Make him work for it in the next round. He's already got to win. What is the set? I understand the 75-point penalty is part of the penalty structure that NASCAR has, but we can't sit here and think that the playoffs are treated the same as the rest of the season because it's just definitely not. It's 10 random races that they just start chopping people out with a machete. Make him work for it. If they're cheating, whether they knew it or not, and I don't know much about the penalty itself, but the fact that this is almost going to have no effect on his playoff hopes. I mean, again, like you said, he's losing the crew chief. That may make a big difference. But like, come on, he's already got to win. What, you might as well take no points away from him and be like, hey, don't do it again.
Yeah, from what I heard, the wheel in the tire was like apparently over like 5 years old or something, and that's what the penalty was. They were just using basically parts that were not approved for the series. And then the thing that is really going to hurt this team is the 4 race suspension for his crew chief. Ty is a young driver, and he's had this great bond with his crew chief so far in the past 2 years. They've been winning races, and I think this is really going to kill his momentum right now. So,
well, maybe having somebody else at the helm for a couple weeks will save another Richmond situation from him. You know, that was a terrible strategy call.
Yeah.
So I think
that's very true.
I think the team got away with one for sure. I don't know the specifics. I know NASCAR released a rule update saying they could only put air or nitrogen in the tires. And then a week later, they take away his wheel from the track, from the team. But like, okay, is this just a parts issue at ThorSport? Do the other ThorSport trucks have issues like this? It's well, I guess time will tell.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But let's move over to the Xfinity side of things. Brandon Jones is going to be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2024 in the 9 car, and that basically just says money talks right there, because this guy has been complete dog shit this year. Either he's wrecking or he's just not performing in that 9 car. This is how the sport of NASCAR works now, is if you have the money, you're going to get a great ride, and he's bringing over that Menards money.
Yeah, so, why not?
Yeah, why not? It's just another wasted ride. It sucks. I don't think Brandon Jones is a great driver whatsoever. He lucks out of all of his wins, and I don't know, Junior just wants to get paid.
Wouldn't you?
I guess, but I really do hope they give a raise to the Fab Shop guys.
Yeah. You know, I know we want to poke fun at Brandon Jones, but I mean, I'm sure the viewer at home has had a job and has looked back on their first year at the job and be like, man, I didn't know what I was doing. And yeah, this isn't his first year racing. This isn't his first year in the Xfinity Series, but it's his first year with Chevy. He's still figuring out the ropes there, figuring out working with another team other than the Toyota camp in general. So I know we poke fun of it. The rumor that he was going to go back to Joe Gibbs Racing just didn't make much sense to me. It was fun to think about. But like I said, NASCAR is an experience game, and there's going to be ebbs and flows when you're switching from systems that you don't know. So who knows? I don't want to dig his grave yet. We'll see. Talk to me halfway through next season with Junior Motorsports. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've just given this guy so many second chances. I mean, yeah, he was with RCR in that 33 car with Xfinity, and they were dog shit. Kind of, I mean, they weren't that great back then. 19 car, yeah, he had like maybe
he had a few wins.
Yeah, 1 win a year, maybe 2, but like I said, maybe 1 win out of all those was like pure dominance, and the others
Yeah.
he got from like an overtime finish, or I don't know. He doesn't seem like the kind of winning driver that everyone keeps hyping him up to be and giving him all these great rides. I feel like we
Right.
could see much better drivers because he failed. I mean, I feel like he just did not do well in that 19 car whatsoever. It was a failure for what that car should be projected to be. And so far, it's just a failing grade for this year in the 9 car. So I don't know if he does right around like mediocre next year. I'm going to completely write him off.
Yeah, then that's fair. That's very fair. I want to counter that. I'll play devil's advocate here. He was one ill-advised teammate away from the championship 4 last year. And again, he's won races at tracks like Pocono, Martinsville. And again, money talks at the end of the day. We can complain about pay drivers all we want, but if there's no pay drivers, we don't have a sport to watch. Plain and simple. These teams would cease to exist without people wanting to shell out big bucks. So if I have to watch an under-talented driver race every week, I'm not too upset about it because the cream still rises to the top and he's not rising. That being said, he's not that much of a divisive driver. He's not too much of an eccentric personality either. So, I mean, he tries to go and run his race and he gets into issues, but I don't think he's over aggressive. I don't think a lot of these issues are his fault. He just gets caught up because he's just not running as well. So I'll play devil's advocate for Brandon Jones. It's easy for me to sit on the couch and poke fun at these drivers, but
yeah,
it's something totally different to strap into one of those things and put your life on the line each week. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, really easy for us to say until we get into one of those cars and we crash on lap 1, right?
yeah. I don't think I'd even get out of the pit stall without spinning out. Too much
Yeah,
power.
I
that I'm
can't
not
even
used to.
I can't even do a full 30 laps at Darlington without freaking smacking into the wall. So, and that's on iRacing, god damn it.
Exactly.
All right, and we got a huge crew chief swap here with the 2 and 21 Cup teams. Jeremy Bullins is going to be going over to Harrison Burton, and Brian Wilson is going to be crew chiefing Austin Cindric. So we've seen Jeremy Bullins kind of move around the Penske drivers. He was first with Ryan Blaney, and then moved over to Austin Cindric, and now gonna move over to the Wood Brothers. So I guess we'll see how it pairs up. I mean, we usually see this kind of thing happen when the playoffs start. Neither of those drivers are in the playoffs, so I guess they're kind of seeing how things work out.
Yeah, this to me just seems like it's an experiment. I guess from what I've read that this is not only for the end of this season, but it's also for next season.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, not in the playoffs. They probably had this planned out already. Say Austin Cindric or Harrison Burton pulls out the victory last Saturday night at Daytona. I don't think this news comes out. I don't think they switch. I think they play the playoffs with the same thing. But if you're going to make the change, why not let them get acquainted for 10 races to see what they can do, see what potential's there. I got no problem with this.
No, that doesn't hurt whatsoever. And then over at Joe Gibbs Racing, Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs are going to be swapping their crews starting at Darlington. We've also seen this in the past with Joe Gibbs Racing. I remember a couple years ago, I think it might have been the start of the playoffs. They had Kyle Busch, and that's when Daniel Suarez was on the team. They swapped crews. So this isn't anything, out of the ordinary that we've seen in NASCAR. Ty Gibbs not in the playoffs. Christopher Bell is. They think 54 probably has the strongest pit crew. I mean, obviously they do. It's
the 54. Yeah, the 54 had
Kyle
not
Busch's.
only they won the pit crew challenge this year at the All-Star race, and they have the fastest 4-tire and fuel pit stop in NASCAR history at 8.9 seconds.
That's
so
right.
All of this makes sense to me. With the 54 being out and the 20 being in, get any advantage you can. Again, we know the ownership championships is where the owners get paid. So you got to get this guy going as deep as possible. The 54 is not making you any more money now. Time to go cash in with the 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Smart move. We saw Christopher Bell make it to the championship for last year. So if he has the
Yeah.
best pit crew around
Not
and
only
he
that, his crew, I could have cost him the championship. Who knows how that race ends if they don't have a slow pit stop for the last pit stop of the year.
yeah, very true. So maybe things will change for old C Bell and he'll
Mm-hmm.
have a hot streak like he did last year and make a big
Not
push
a
into the
not according to
championship
my
for.
playoff list that I've made, but that's a teaser for later.
All right. And then last bit of news, Carson Hocevar, he's going to be driving the 42 for Legacy Motor Club at Darlington. Huge opportunity for the guy. I mean, we've been hearing the rumors that he might be taking over that 77 over at Spire Motorsports. So good to give him as much time as he needs in a Cup Series car. And then still pretty much up in the air for who's going to be driving for the rest of the season because I've heard rumors that it's not going to be Josh Berry. They want him to focus on the Xfinity Series playoff
Of
push
course.
coming here in a couple weeks. So kind of up in the air. I think they'll kind of
Yeah.
filter around a bunch of different drivers. We'll probably see Rockenfeller back at the Roval, pretty good road course driver. So yeah, pretty excited to see who else they bring along.
I want, if they can't find anybody, I think Jimmy Johnson should just race it. Why not? And yeah, who knows how he's doing with that whole family issue that they're still going through
Mm-hmm.
on that unfortunate thing. But if he's available, he just wants to race, man. He just got into the Hall of Fame. Just let him have some fun. If he wants to go race the worst car in the cup in the garage, then by all means, put him in there. As for Carson Hocevar, why not? He knows what his goals are. Nobody's expecting anything from this car. Almost the same deal from him at Gateway, and he had a really good run until his brake rotor blew up.
Mm-hmm.
So like nobody's expecting him to go out there. It's not like they're bringing in this ringer to go win this race. They're like, man, we need this 42 to win. Let's get Carson Hocevar. No, that's not what's going to happen. But they need somebody to race it. Might as well use your agency to get some more seat time in the Cup Series.
Yeah, we've seen this guy grow as a driver, so might as well get his feet wet in the Cup Series before maybe.
It's all about building that experience. So the more you can get, the better.
Absolutely. All right, Tom, let's talk Daytona. It was a huge weekend for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, and also Truck Series were up in Milwaukee, but we'll discuss that towards the end of the show. Xfinity, we had Austin Hill starting on the pole. I mean, surprise, surprise, this guy is the best super speedway driver in the Xfinity Series right now. He's just fast. He's just so good here.
Yeah. He's fast, and those ECR engines and the RCR cars know what they're doing at super speedways. They always have.
Oh yeah. But unfortunately, 5 cars had to do a pass-through penalty with Jeb Burton, Justin Allgaier, Sieg, Parker Rutzlaff, and Jordan Anderson. Rough way to start his comeback in NASCAR with Jordan Anderson having to do a pass-through penalty, and he also didn't make it to catch up with the pack as well, so he was kind of left out to dry. But cool to see him back in a car.
You say unfortunately 5 cars are there, but if I'm one of those penalized cars, it's very fortunate that 4 other cars also had to do such a thing.
Right.
Because I wonder if Justin Allgaier shows back up in this race.
Yeah, I wonder. But we had Austin Hill winning stage 1, Sheldon Creed gets stage 2. Just the speed and just the knowledge of running through the draft with these cars is just beyond crazy. They got a smart team over there with RCR. I mean, we've seen the past. Dale Earnhardt was the king of super speedway racing.
See the air, you know?
Yep. So that's what all the RCR guys see. They see the air from Dale.
Exactly.
And then at the end of stage 1, poor Riley Herbst had his tire blow up. He was complaining since lap 1 that there was an issue with the car. The team just told him to keep driving, and then tire blows up, and then we get one of the best radio communications ever. I don't think I've ever really heard this guy blow up before, but man, he let his crew chief have it.
Well, is he out of line?
No.
You're on the playoff bubble and you're going to show up 2 weeks in a row with a broken car.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh. That's I agree 100% unacceptable. We say all the time about Riley Herbst not being able to perform. I've asked this question before about, I think I asked it a couple weeks ago about Parker Kligerman. Is it a driver? Is it a team? Well, now I want to know about Riley Herbst. Yes, he hasn't won it all. And yes, again, he's the same conversation we just had with Brandon Jones. But this slipping through the cracks that seems to continue to happen with that 98 car, with the 00 even sometimes. And again, we see how Stewart-Haas performs in Cup. Like, how are you supposed to race a broken car? How are you supposed to make the playoffs if you can't even unload correctly? The problem with that 98, it goes much beyond Riley Herbst. He's had some really great races these past couple weeks, but he's not going to make the playoffs if they keep showing up with shitty equipment.
No, not like that. And yeah, like you said, it's not just a driver problem. It's a whole organization problem with the Cup Series and Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
They just cannot bring fast
Mhm.
race cars anymore. They can't bring race cars that can last a whole 300, 400, 500 miles, whatever you're racing. It's sad to see because they were one of
Yeah.
the top teams just a couple years. I mean, goddamn, 2020, Kevin Harvick had 9 wins. Yeah, maybe he was the only guy to
team
win
had
that
10.
year.
The team had
Yeah.
10
Oh,
wins.
yeah.
So I saw a tweet a couple weeks ago. I forget who said it, but they basically was arguing that Stewart-Haas Racing has never been good. They've just had Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart and a little bit of Kurt Busch sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Their Xfinity program was very strong.
Yeah.
But
Chase Briscoe kicked ass.
That was also when Penske was very strong. And I think Ford in general was just very strong in the Xfinity series because they had 2 cars. So who knows? It's an interesting thing to think about. How good, I think we're going to see next season how good Stewart-Haas Racing is. Because, by the way, all those rumors that we talked about last week, oh, Stewart-Haas is getting rid of charters, oh, Stewart-Haas is dumping drivers left and right, they squished all those. I think that just comes with the territory of being one of the premier teams that starts to underperform. You get questions about loyalty, you get questions about money, you get questions about performance. But they squished those down right away. So we're gonna really see Stewart-Haas Racing's true colors once Kevin Harvick leaves. They don't have that veteran leadership in the garage anymore. Tony Stewart, I can't imagine Tony Stewart's too involved with the team anymore. He's just signing checks.
Yeah, I mean, with there still being rumors that Smithfield's leaving, Almirola's probably retiring.
Mm-hmm.
That team is going to be just all young drivers. And yeah, there's going to be no veteran leadership, and got sponsors that are probably just going to be leaving. Like, we got Busch Beer leaving, obviously, and that's probably their biggest sponsor.
They got their work cut out for them.
Yep. All right, Nick, welcome to the show. So we were talking Xfinity. We are going to be talking the big wreck on lap 42. Anthony Alfredo got loose and turned the 9 of Brandon Jones, which wrecked Brett Moffitt. Mozak, Joe Graff Jr. got loose. The 9 of Brandon Jones was completely destroyed. Pretty much the story of his career in that 9 car so far.
To no fault of his own, though. Let's be honest.
No.
Again, he just got cleaned out. Like, he's trying to log laps, trying to get to the end like everybody else. Like I said earlier, he's not trying to do anything wrong. He's not overly aggressive. He just gets swept up in things from time to time.
He's just a cloud of bad luck is what he is. He just brings it everywhere that he goes. But hey, he's going to be driving that car again next year, so more bad luck to come.
Without bad luck, you'd have none at all. Is that what they say?
Yep. Hey, let's go win races for Menards.
As long as it's with a Richmond water heater or something. I don't know. Good advertisement because we all can quote it.
Yeah. All right, we had a wild battle for the stage 2 finish with the RCR cars battling like hell and blocking like hell, but it was Sheldon Creed to win that second stage. So great for him. I mean, we know the story with Sheldon Creed this year, another guy who is just in a cloud of bad luck, and he needs as many points as he can get to make that playoff push.
I know there's 20 drivers in the Xfinity series that would love to have as many second place finishes as Sheldon Creed would have. So I don't want to hear anything about bad luck. He's still getting good results. Yeah, winning's fun, winning's good, winning's what pays the big bills and whatnot. But dude's still performing very well.
That's fair. I just feel bad for the guy. He's just been so great and just hasn't been the victory lane yet. And
Of course.
I keep saying it's coming, it's coming. I thought it was going to be this weekend, but nope. All right. Nick, I'm so sorry we got to say this, but actually, this was great. Trevor Bayne took the lead with 8 to go, and we had Jeb Burton spinning in the back, which brought them back to line up. And on the restart, Austin Hill got a push from Chandler Smith, bumped the 19 to Trevor Bayne, got him loose, and then the field just wrecked. Trevor Bayne had such a fast car for this race.
He did. It was disappointing for sure, but I mean, I knew as soon as the caution came out for Burton spinning that this was going to happen. Trevor was the only Toyota that was out there, and even Austin Hill after the race said, "Well, I'm not going to push the 19 because he doesn't have a bow tie on him." The plan was to eliminate Bayne from that was the plan going into it, no matter how it was going to work, but. What happened is that when the 21 made the move, he was still locked onto the 19's bumper, therefore getting the 19 loose and then turning him into the wall. So for people saying that Trevor threw a bad block, maybe he did, but I think it goes the other way with Austin Hill. They were just locked bumpers, but this is what happens at super speedway races. That Trevor said it best himself in his interview. He's either going to make that move and it's going to work, or he's going to get crashed. But if he doesn't make that move, they're going to ditch him and he's going to finish 15th. So it was a checkers or wreckers situation right there. That's how these super speedway races, that's what happens in them. Good news is that he was fast. He showed once again why he belongs in this series. And we got 2 more chances to go in a couple weeks to get us a ride for next year. But yeah, as disappointing as it is, I knew it was going to happen.
I think it's easy to be mad about it in the moment as a fan, as a driver. You'd be like, oh, why did they make such a move? I can't believe it. And you go back and it's just all those guys wanting to fight for the same real estate. They know the track position is important. They know the laps are winding down very, 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 very shortly. And it's a racing incident after all. And yeah, it sucks. It wrecked most of the field, but it's a racing incident and they'll all move on. They'll all get over it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's racing for a win at Daytona. That's how so they were racing for the.
Yep, racing for the win.
It didn't work out for us.
Yep, it's the way it goes sometimes with this super speedway racing. And then we had another wreck with Nemechek, Josh Berry, Josh Williams, and Jeb Burton all wrecking with 2 to go. This racks the cars back up. And we had Justin Allgaier holding off a hard charge and Sheldon Creed to get the win in one of the closest races at Daytona in the Xfinity Series, 5/1000ths of a second. Mm-hmm. Absolutely unbelievable. Cool to see that Justin Allgaier came back from having to go through that pass-through penalty as well. Just great to see out of this guy. Hasn't gotten a win since Charlotte and just proves why this guy is a contender.
I think we can attribute a lot of this win to the fact that 4 other cars are penalized with him at the beginning of the race. If he's penalized alone, there's no way he maintains enough speed by himself to not get lapped in the first stage. And it kept him in the race. Again, there's no cautions in stage 1 either. So they had to run around and hope for the best. And the absolute best came to him. So good for him.
Yeah, definitely. Great to see for Justin Allgaier and Junior Motorsports because they had a rough night with 2 of their cars getting wrecked out.
I feel like they're kind of heating up now. Sam Mayer's got 2 wins. Justin Allgaier's got 2 wins. Still want to get that 8 car to victory lane. Still, right? That's the one that surprises me is that Josh Berry is yet to find victory lane this year after the year he had last year. And then Brandon Jones is Brandon Jones, so he's got two very good tracks coming up for him where he can go get it done. So things are looking on the uprise for Junior Motorsports.
Yeah, he's good at
it's
Darlington. He's good at Kansas, so this is his chance.
we have to remember this isn't the end of the playoffs. It's not like the Cup Series.
Right.
There's still 2 races left.
Right.
Anything can happen. And again, with 2 cars getting wrecked out, I think it's a whole lot sweeter if one of the other cars is in victory lane. I don't think they're too mad about that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also we got to talk about what Kligerman said after the race. He says he's looking for help, and the 00 is behind him. And he said that Cole Custer told him that, yeah, he backed off because he wasn't going to push Kligerman to the win with
Right.
Riley Herbst. That's really interesting to me. And again, that's a hearsay thing. So Kligerman could be making it all up, but there's the rule, the 100% rule, however you want to believe it. The 100% rule in NASCAR says the drivers have to try for the best position that they can. And so to hear that there's a driver be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to help. I'm curious what NASCAR thinks about that, what the fans think about that. I get it. I say the team aspect is way underutilized in the Cup Series or in the Xfinity Series. So by all means, do what you can. We don't need spin gates all over the place, but
Right. No, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was just him not wanting to help Kligerman because the situation that Riley Herbst was put in because if Parker Kligerman wins, and I think Riley Herbst is out of the playoffs, so he wasn't going to do that by any means. I mean, Cole Custer's already locked in the playoffs, so positions for him didn't really matter at that point. So yeah, I think that's just a teammate being a teammate right there, saying, I ain't helping you, buddy.
Yeah.
But tell me how that's any different than Denny Hamlin getting penalized for race manipulation at Phoenix. That to me says it's race manipulation.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Devil's advocate again. But it's a little stinky to me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan if they would
But I'm happy
penalize
about it.
this, and I wasn't a fan
Yeah.
when they penalized that with Denny. So
That's very true. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if
Mhm.
you are trying to help a teammate,
Mhm.
and if you just don't do a spin gate, just do that and you're fine. But if maybe you're pulling a block to get a certain teammate in, like we saw with Ross Chastain helping Kurt Busch at Atlanta a couple years
Yeah.
ago when Ross was blocking Kyle.
Or Chase Elliott and Harvick of Bristol.
Fuck that. That was
the same thing.
they should have
It's
been
the
penalized.
same. It's all the same. It's all the same.
No, man,
It's
I feel very differently when it's about Chase Elliott.
It's a part of oval racing. It's interesting to think about. And the fact that the drivers in general are just so in tuned to the points and how their race will affect another driver's race, positively or negatively.
Yeah. But I don't know. I still think let the drivers race how they want to race, unless it's actual race manipulation, like self-spinning, bringing out a
Spin
caution.
gates or safety issues, shall we say.
Exactly.
By the way, Denny said he still has lingering effects in his foot from the crash at Charlotte.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So
yeah.
Interesting.
So he can rot and enjoy his merry
off season and have a happy Christmas.
Yep. All right.
Man.
Well, let's talk Cup now. Chase Briscoe won the pole for this race, and Martin Truex Jr. won the first stage. He's having a hell of a career, so he's just racking up them playoff points. And we had some insane 3-wide racing throughout this race. Dale Jr. was saying at the start of this race, with these next-gen cars, you never really see 3-wide super speedway racing, and we saw it for basically the entire second stage. It was absolutely
we haven't seen it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
We haven't seen it. I was like, so the three of us, we got together Friday night, watched the Xfinity race. That first big wreck, we all felt it coming. And even when the Cup Series was going 3-wide, I'm sitting in here and I'm like, something's got to happen. Something's going to come. Something, especially with all that was on the line, and nothing happened. And again, everybody wants to blame this package for not being able to go 3-wide because I watched it for 20, 30 straight laps.
Yeah, it was absolutely magnificent to see. just the 3 wide racing, and there were so many opportunities for guys to move through the field with all of this. So made for some fantastic super speedway racing.
I also loved that Kyle Busch got penalized right before that happened and used that third lane to erase the penalty in like 4 laps.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was wild. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. Let's do it.
Worked out pretty well for him. And we had a big wreck at the end of stage 2. Christopher Bell got his teammate Ty Gibbs loose. Sucks to get wrecked by your teammate, doesn't it, Ty? And turns the 12 into turn 4 and collects the field. And my, oh my, I'm sure you guys have seen the comparisons with that wreck with Dale Sr.'s wreck in 2001. And it was very, very, very similar. And just amazing to see how safety has come throughout the past 22 years since Dale Earnhardt's death. And Ryan Blaney came out and he was perfectly fine. No issues whatsoever. We haven't heard anything yet.
He didn't seem like he was all mentally there in his interview. I was watching, it was just, something wasn't right.
Yeah.
So we'll
I'm
see.
sure. I mean, your bell gets rung like that. Yeah, you're going to be a little out of it. I mean, we'll see probably Wednesday or Thursday. They'll maybe say something if he has a concussion, but I mean, so far so good from what we've heard from the 12. But
as I say, it's not a soft wall. It's not a safe wall. It's a safer wall.
Yeah.
Again, it's amazing to me that we didn't have more Dale Earnhardts when they were running around those places with just concrete up there. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, no kidding. Open face helmets. No seatbelts.
As for the start of the wreck, I don't think anybody's to blame.
You just got the air off.
They know it. They know what they're pushing for. It's the end of the stage. It was the first time the 54 had been out front, from what I can recall. Just not really sure. I don't even think Bell was pushing him all that much, especially in the corner. I think he got hit after he got loose. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I just think that was a racing deal, and
it looked like he just got
the
like
worst end of it.
Super close to him in the turn.
Yeah, he just had a little wiggle.
Yeah, it's a product of super speedway racing. We see this all the time.
Yeah,
so it's just
took the air off him.
But like, and Bell's not expecting him to wiggle, so then Bell runs into the back of him and off they go. Also, props to NASCAR for red flagging it just because all those flat tires. You don't want to see people go multiple laps down, especially that many. So they red flagged it, lined up all the trucks, and got them going.
Yeah, I saw a video. Kyle Larson, he was doing donuts down on the apron because he couldn't move at all with his flat tires. So they had to tow him back.
Was that the only red flag of the race?
No, because
was that later?
No, I think this might have gotten a red flag too, because this collected a lot of the field. But then coming up here, we had that huge flip with Ryan Preece. That brought out the red flag there. He got loose from the 43, spun by his teammate Chase Briscoe, and then he went for a tumble, damn near 15 flips with that car. And God, you just so happy to see that this guy just walks out of that car. Like, yeah, they had to put him on the stretcher. They brought him to the hospital, but he was alive after that. The window net came off. The roof hatch came off as well.
Which is allegedly really a flimsy piece anyway. So,
yeah,
which is interesting.
But regardless,
you know,
one of the most violent flips I've ever seen in NASCAR.
So every once in a while, when you're watching a football game, somebody like break their ankle, and for whatever reason, they'll have like a really tight slow-mo shot of their bone breaking. And they show it once and they're like, oh shit, we shouldn't have shown that ever again. And so you really only see that once. When they showed that first slow-mo of the car, that really tight one from, I guess, the entrance of turn 3 wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the roof hatch off. I was like, oh, damn, that's not great. And then the car flips around again and the window net's loose. I thought in the next slow-mo turn, I was going to see like an arm sticking out of that car. And I'm so glad we didn't. So there's other safety stuff in there, whatnot. Who knows how conscious he was through all of that. But we dodged a major bullet there. Major bullet. And again, like Junior said on the broadcast, it didn't look like a lazy 2010s, 2020s flip. It looked like a 80s, 90s flip.
Yeah.
Aggressive, just nothing to set the car down. really scary because these cars are supposed to be built with much more anti-flip aero than that.
Yeah. I mean, just the product of the super speedway racing. You turn one way on a certain part of the track, you're going to go flying. We saw that with Harrison Burton during the 500 a couple years ago. And we saw it here with Ryan Preece. But yeah, this was, in my eyes, the most violent wreck I ever watched during a live race.
And especially that one of the last time, we're lucky he landed on the wheels because, I mean, he landed on the roof basically flush and pretty hard there. So, like, yeah, we're happy Ryan's okay. He says he's coming back next week. He's still listed as the starter for the 41, so we'll see.
Yeah, would be happy to see him come back. All right, and then we had a smart move by Brad Keselowski during that red flag.
This won the race. This won the race. You can't tell me otherwise. This was a race-winning move under the red.
No, it really was. He thought that something was on fire in his car, and you know what? I'm going to do about 15 circles just down here on the apron. He did that and extinguished the flames from wherever it was coming from, and NASCAR said he didn't advance his position. He didn't get out of the car and fix it, so it was deemed fair, and they let him race, which I think is fine, because he was just trying to fix the car any possible legal way that he could, and he did it. Went back to his position wherever the hell he was, and then, like you said, that was a race-winning move because he ended up pushing his driver, his teammate Chris Buescher, in that 17 car to his third win of the season, third win in the past 5 races. Absolutely unbelievable for this team over at RFK Racing. A few years ago, we wrote off Roush.
You want to talk about getting hot at the right moment? RFK is turning up the heat. Chris Buescher,
literally on fire.
17 is turning up the heat right now. And what momentum this gives Chris Buescher. I mean, he is now let me see here. He is the 4th seed going into the playoffs now because he's won 3 out of these last 5 races. He is the man on a mission. He's got some good tracks coming up for him. So I look for Chris Buescher to be dangerous going in these playoffs, and I look for Brad Keselowski and RFK as a whole to be dangerous going in these playoffs. I really think that one of these 2 guys are going to make the round of 8, and maybe both of them do. We just don't know, but both of these cars are getting results when they need them, and it's really amazing to see how far they've come in just a year and a half as being known as RFK Racing since Brad came over. So this is incredible stuff from them, and yeah, they're going to be a scary team in the playoffs.
I mean, he won Bristol last year, so if he continues his hot streak, he's going. Yeah, and he's been close before last year. So if he continues his hot streak, he's out of the round of 16 for sure. But yeah, RFK is scary. But again, I'm worried if it has flipped this fast, could it flip again? That's all I'm concerned about. And it's like, are they here to stay, or are they just on a hot streak? And I honestly couldn't tell you. I guess time will tell. But we'll see if they've hit the momentum right. It's the perfect time entering the playoffs right here.
Yeah. Just crazy to see just the past couple of years what this team has turned into.
And really, it's Brad. Brad has done it.
Yeah.
Brad, I guess when Brad walked in the door, he saw a bunch of stuff he wanted to change in the race shop, but he's been changing the mentality, getting people back on the right track. And so that's good for Brad. And you wonder if this is going to make it easier to hang up shortly. Because again, who's won the last 4 races out of the 2 of them?
Chris Buescher.
Chris Buescher. And from the ownership standpoint, you wonder if you want to, if you don't have a driver who's equaling the other driver. I know it's a more difficult situation because the ownership is talking about the driver that is the one and the same. But who knows when Brad will hang it up? I mean, Brad should be able to drive however long he wants. But maybe this ownership thing is going to work out nicely for him. Maybe he'll like it a lot more. I mean, he was a really great truck owner. They won a lot of races then too. So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And he's still a racer. I still see him racing for 5+ years. I mean, this guy is just starting to get warmed up in that 6 car.
Yeah, I think he wants to win in one of his own cars before he hangs it up for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
And
well,
it's coming.
In all of Chris Buescher's wins, I want to say Brad Keselowski has either led laps or he's been right up there with him. So it's not like Brad's too far off of Chris. It's just that things are falling for Chris. And sooner or later, things are going to start to fall for Brad. And then RFK is really going to be like they're already a threat. But once they both start winning races, then watch out.
I mean, even 2 years ago, if you told me that Roush Fenway Racing was going to be the premier Ford team in the Cup Series, I'd laugh you right out of the bar. I'd be like, "Go home, you're drunk." Like, come on, man. Like that's ridiculous. But here we are. Penske's not doing anything. Stuart Haas is being Stuart Haas at the moment. So Ford's got potential in RFK.
Yeah. All right. And so that leaves the final playoff spot for Bubba Wallace. He stayed clean throughout this one. Chris Buescher won. He was not a new winner. So Bubba was clean. He had a great season, and now he is a playoff series driver. So awesome to see out of this guy. So many people have doubted him, and now he's proven everybody wrong.
Yeah, he's capable. He's got to keep going though, because guess what? He's right back on the bubble. It's fun to celebrate. It's fun to celebrate, but you got to work. And again, luckily, there's no road course in this round, so hopefully he finished well at Darlington early this year.
He got a top 5 at Darlington earlier this year. He's won Kansas before. Bristol, he led laps before at Bristol, so this is a very strong. This could be a very strong round for him. Yeah. It's just he's got to stay composed, no mistakes. The pit crew, no mistakes. It's go time now. Like it's time to step up to the plate here.
Yep.
Yeah, and how about Michael Jordan being there on pit road to greet him as he got out of the car?
That's
that
awesome.
shows you that Michael Jordan is not only just monetarily invested, financially invested, but he's emotionally invested. He's personally invested in this team, in these drivers. He wants to be there. He wants to help them with their success and wants that team to be successful. So it's cool to see somebody as big as Michael Jordan being a part of our sport.
It's very awesome to see. And then guys, make sure you tune in a few days or tomorrow or whenever I'm going to upload. We have a bracket challenge coming out. We're going to be discussing all things with the playoff drivers, who we think is going to survive and who we think is going to get eliminated throughout these playoffs. And then we'll check back throughout our brackets throughout every week, see how we're doing. And I think we'll have a lot of fun with this. But guys, we got one more race to get through on Sunday. We had the Truck Series going to Milwaukee Mile, and Grant Enfinger was on the pole. Fast driver for these short tracks. We know that. Ty Majeski, we talked about it on the show earlier, had that pass-through penalty, and he had to deal with that L2 penalty. But we know that's not really going to hurt him too much since...
Yeah, it doesn't hurt him at all. I wasn't on here for this, so I'm going to talk about that for like 2 seconds. So this guy practically, he cheats at the perfect time because he's already won. So like, oh yeah, this penalty doesn't mean shit for you now. That makes no sense to me at all, how that does not carry over into the next round. I think that is complete and utter bullshit. Why even announce the penalty? Yeah, he loses 5 playoff points. What he fucking do? He's going to win another race before the playoffs are up. So I just don't get why we're going to announce it. Rant's over.
Yeah, and we know how Nick feels about Ty Majeski, so I was hoping that you would say something about it because I was really sad when we started the show and we were talking about like, man, Nick would have some good opinions right here.
I just don't understand how we're practically just he cheated, but it doesn't matter.
Unfortunately, the rule of the law in NASCAR does not line up with their playoff format. They're doing it to themselves. Blame NASCAR. Don't blame Ty Majeski, I guess. But like,
no, I will. It doesn't matter. I'll blame them for anything.
It's interesting that they don't have a solution for something like this.
Yeah, I think after this, I think they will
Like,
because this is a little
can
ridiculous.
they
That's
prove
crucial.
can they prove
75 points.
can they prove that this happened at the race that he won this round? Because if not, encumber that win. Make him earn it. At least give him the chance
70.
to get knocked out or something. I don't know.
Yeah. The only thing is he is missing his crew chief for the
Yeah.
next 4 races, so that's the only thing that's really going to hurt him. So we'll see how well that 98 team fares
I
out
mean,
for the rest of
again,
the
if
playoffs.
if NASCAR is confiscating parts from your team before a race, that you're in big trouble. We saw it with Hendrick earlier. We
Yeah.
saw it with colleague. It's not good. It's not good. They know what all the teams are remotely doing, who's pushing the limits where. And again, we saw that in the rebuttal with the Hendrick appeal later. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna get to it. You appealed, you won, whoop-de-doo. We also know you're fucking with the greenhouse, so guess what? Boom, you're penalized again. So like NASCAR knows what these teams are up to. They're all trying to find an edge. But
If
if
you
you're
ain't
getting
shooting,
parts,
you ain't trying.
yeah. If you're getting parts taken away, you're in big trouble. And we saw it.
Yep. All right, and then we had Grant Enfinger winning stages 1 and 2, and we had a caution for Nick Sanchez, just another guy who just cannot get the good luck rolling for him. Got spun by the 11, backed it up, and pretty much ended his day. But yeah, that really sucks for this guy. He's gotten so many poles this year. He's shown a lot of speed, but always ends up on the wrong side of the track.
Well, the other KBM drivers hasn't showed up, so this support team's got to show up for KBM and give him something worthwhile.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's behind the 8 ball. He's got to work hard these next 2 races.
Got that right. And then Grant Enfinger, he was able to chase down Carson Hocevar with about 25 laps to go. And then he just held on and got the win at the Milwaukee Mile. Just a good old short track ass whooping from the 23 driver. I thought pretty decent race. Nothing too exciting about it, but it was decent. It was good to see cars running back at the Milwaukee Mile.
The differing strategy at the end definitely was redeeming for this race. Once you saw him tracking down Hocevar, you knew that he was going to get there, and he had plenty of time to do it. Hocevar tried to rough him up a little bit, but nothing too egregious for my liking. He knew he had to stay in front of him to even have a chance at winning, but it was way too far from the end. But overall, good race.
Yeah, absolutely. So can't wait to see what the future holds for the Milwaukee Mile. I know the owners said that they're hoping to have either Xfinity or Cup Series up
It's a
there
tough little
in the
racetrack.
future. Yeah, it is.
I ran once last week at iRacing, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure it out. But I'm not very good at iRacing, so I can't figure out most tracks. But still, it's tough. It's tough, and it's an old surface, so it just eats whatever tires we have left. So
yeah, would be fun to see the top 2 series run up there sometime in the future. But
I thought Enfinger's Victory Lane interview was also really interesting because we did have the news that GMS is closing
right
at season's end. And a comment that I've been thinking about is that, yeah, GMS is, he said something along the lines, GMS is closing, but we're still here. We're still fighting for the championship right now. And we also are auditioning for jobs next year because all those teams are going to get liquidated. They're going to get shelled off. They're basically showing what they got. Enfinger needs a ride next year now. All those crew members need jobs. And that's just the unfortunate side of this series. Like, they could be doing everything right. You could be winning races, winning championships, and it's still going to go away.
Yeah. I mean, their best bet is to get bought out by another team, like what happened with Chip Ganassi when Trackhouse bought them out, and they just had, got all of their crews, all their crew chiefs, pretty much everyone, and they bought their whole shop. So I think that would be the best bet for them. And well, it's hard to say because Truck Series is a little bit harder to get into because of how much money you lose every single race. You're not making a whole bunch of money with all these races if you're a team owner.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
You
We'll
wonder
see what the future holds for all these guys.
If KBM wants to expand their shop again already, now that Chevy team's showing up, or if a team like Trackhouse or Spire wants to show up more to the Truck Series races, I mean, that's really good options to have a focus there. It's going to be interesting to see where they all go. But I mean, good for them that they're not taking that news and tucking their tail between their legs. They're going to go down fighting.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting to see how the season will end up for this GMS team. Would be cool to see them out on top before they close their doors. But you guys have any closing thoughts for the show? We had a lot to talk about with Daytona and Milwaukee here today.
It's playoff time, baby. It's go time.
You know, I made a comment to you guys when I came over to watch the Xfinity race that was going to be the best race of the weekend, because I thought the Cup Series race was going to be a shit show and nothing was going to go properly and everybody was going to be pissed off at the end. And I want to just say I was dead wrong. Cup Series race was fantastic, and I don't feel like anybody got shafted. You still thought by the end there that somebody else could pull off a win. Bubba was fighting for his life. It was just the storylines played out really nicely, and I believe fairly and karmically good. So I'll eat my words on there. The Xfinity race was fine, but the Cup Series race was great. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Stock Car Spectacle. That's going to wrap it up. If you haven't yet, make sure to like our video and subscribe to our channel and comment below what you thought of this weekend of racing. It was insane. What did you think of the first Truck Series race back at the Milwaukee Mile since 2009? Let us know down below. And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. So for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jorson.
I'm Nick Kinsel.
I'm Tom Hovland.
We'll see you guys next time.